making sure that it's going. This is my first time doing this live thing to multiple places. And I'm just kind of working out the kinks for actually an upcoming discussion happening a week from today with Garrett Kramer. So Garrett and I are going to be connecting and having a conversation on some, I don't really know exactly what, but it's going to be good. And I intend to share my voice a little bit more. I have hosted a podcast in the past, the Alter Your Health podcast, and I hosted that twice a week up until summer of 2020. And it's funny, as all of the things of 2020 were happening. There were obviously a lot of people creating lots of content, and I was feeling like, you know, lack of desire, lack of passion, lack of enthusiasm to create content. And I was spent most of 2020 more in absorption mode, more in digestion mode of all the amazing and mind-boggling stuff that is out there in the world. So that being said, after several months of kind of staying quiet in terms of being off of social media, being stopping the podcast, really not sharing my voice as much, I've felt a newfound kind of spark that has been lit inside of me to share myself. And I got on Facebook a couple months ago as this spark was really just being ignited. And I said, I'm gonna start posting a little bit more. I'm gonna do so from my heart, from my loving, authentic self. And I have been called out on that a couple of times in the last few days. I made some comments on some threads, and some people said, "Oh, it sounds like you're a little aggressive. It sounds like you're kind of attacking." And I'm sorry. I'm doing my best. We're all doing our best, and I think that really my intention for coming on now, and my intention for sharing my voice on in the future, is really speaking at the truth. Like, there's a lot of things that we think are true. There's a lot of things that we believe are true. Like, it's like we all have our opinions about the truth, our truth, the versions of the truth. But I want to spend more time focusing on what we all know is true. And I think we can all agree on I know that we can all agree on some basic truths, one of which is the truth of consciousness being really the source of everything. Everything is consciousness. And that's where my friend Garrett Kramer comes in. He is a non-duality teacher, sharer, and I'm really curious and interested about addressing and having these conversations about all of the physical world reality stuff that is very divisive, but having these conversations focusing on what we know in our hearts to be true, and seeing where these conversations can take us in resolving issues, coming together, seeking and finding solutions to the problems that we are faced with, and ultimately, living in a world that is peaceful and collaborative and expansive, and no more divisive, no more fighting, because whether we like it or not, the fact is that we are right now in the midst of a civil war, and we all feel it. We all feel it, and there's the interesting thing about this civil war is that there's not just two sides. There's a lot of different sides, so to speak, and I'm going to put sides in quotation marks because really it's just the illusion of separation, the illusion of sides, but we feel separate. So many of us are feeling separate and feeling divided and feeling defensive, and I'm right there with you. I'm right there in this, and I also know that the solution, the peace, and the resolution of our civil war that we are in the midst of is right in front of us. And the Civil War is, right now at least, non-violent, in the sense of, not so many casualties. A lot of spirits are down, a lot of feelings are hurt, a lot of aggression and anger and sadness and all of those kind of human emotions are present. But in terms of the blowout and the casualties, like, luckily, we can end this civil war without too much damage. And that's my goal, is to really provide some resolution to the civil war. Because, to be honest, I found myself kind of on like all of the sides that exist. Once again, sides being totally an illusion. We are fed this idea that we need to be on a side, and not all of us choose to be on a side, but a lot of us do. And that's what gets us to where we are. And I'll be the first to admit, once again, I feel like I'm on sides a lot of the time, and I want to have conversations and genuinely focus once again on what I know, what we all know and agree on as fundamental truth, being that we are all of the same stuff, all of the same stuff. So I'm hoping that this live stream is in fact, good and clear and happening and stuff. And I'm just gonna go onto my computer here and see if it is in fact. I guess is it on YouTube? I don't know. I guess we'll find out. Uh, Once again, one purpose of this is to work out any kinks. But that's all I have for you right now. That's all I have for myself right now. I'm excited to continue this conversation on some sort of regular basis, with or without Garrett. Garrett is, he's new in my world, relatively speaking. He shares some really simple and profound stuff. And once again, I think that there is something to be learned, and something to be gained through all of this. And I think that unpacking and dissecting and focusing on the nuggets of truth that I look forward to doing with Garrett, I think that will, I know, take me, a long way forward in being more in my peaceful, authentic state more of the time. And my intention is to share that more of the time with you in the world, digitally, virtually, hugs in person, all the good stuff. So thanks for tuning in, and stay tuned next week. I think the plan is to go live on Facebook and YouTube at 11 a.m. Pacific time, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm in Colorado, so 12 p.m. for me, and look forward to tuning in and connecting there. And feel free to comment, share, whatever, stay in touch. Sending you lots of love and gratitude for your presence in this universe, on this earth, at this time, supporting this, holding it together. We need to be holding it together consciously. And we are, whether we know it or not, we're holding it together. So let's hold it together with our wholeness. And big hug, lots of love. Until